Hey guys, welcome again to our channel, Forces of Freedom and Fascism, advocating for democracy by the people. We are uncovering evil forces desperately trying to implement fascism. We promote freedom of speech, absolutism, and are fighting against the crazy crisis creators like the World Economic Forum, China, George Soros, and their villainous pawns. Are you a pawn? Don't be a pawn. Okay. So this is what it's going to be about today: coronavirus, uh, the dawning of the age of the vaccine passport, or even more insidious, vaccine phone applications. So the fascist modus operandi is in creating or coming up uh, with a crisis so that they can solve it, taking away your rights and freedoms, and at the same time profiteering billions. So the question, was coronavirus a natural evolutionary event? We know Fauci was desperately trying to push this theory onto the public. The theory being a horseshoe bat and a pangolin hooked up. Or was it an engineered bioweapon? There's new bombshell congressional evidence that I'm going to play for you, and you're not going to want to miss out. So, pangolin. Oh, I never heard of a pangolin before COVID, so guess what we're going to have to do? We're going to have to digress just for one short moment. Uh, yeah, this thing's pretty cool, so let's take a look at it. Boom. Yeah, pangolin. Man, it's just gorgeous. Yeah, he's awesome. So what is it? It's a cross between an anteater, a possum, a porcupine, and an armadillo. Wow. Anteater, yeah, it's kind of like a. Oh, look at those. Oh, look at those scales. Beautiful. Yeah. The leopard is totally confused. Don't I normally catch and eat small animals? Rolls up in a spiky ball like an armadillo, so leopard can't get him. But yeah, let's do it. Ball, a spike ball now. All right, that was interesting. Moving along. I digress yet again. Sorry. So I read. Let me read this. This is the apps. I read all this actually. So the formulas make complete sense to me now. Thank goodness you don't have to read any of this. It would have been a big headache. So yeah, you're very welcome. After watching this video through to the end, you're going to be receiving your bioengineering degree, but only if you subscribe. So also, thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. So let's fly straight to our horseshoe bat virus information, shall we? So an extraordinary event occurred when a bat virus transformed into a human virus. Initially, the bat virus could only spread through bats getting it on bodily fluids. But the virus to become COVID-19, two mutations had to happen: specific transmissibility in the human species and ability to go airborne. All right. Thank goodness you didn't have to read this one either. Yeah, so I could have saved myself like 3 whole days had I just highlighted this and stopped. That would have been smarter. Mutations are the building blocks of most evolution. Right. And evolution takes how long? A super long time. So, yeah. So, by the way, so this is not, X-Men. I'm not Wolverine. Adamantium. It hurts every time it comes out. Thank goodness we do not have to watch the bad acting of Hugh Jackman anymore. Look at the stern look. It's just, this is the only emotion he's capable of portraying by his acting. Sternness. If I can look stern, can I be a $1 million actor? Anyway, moving along. Yeah. So even if a mutation does occur, the chance of it being beneficial to the virus or to an X-Men is like winning 3 lotteries. So everybody is aware evolution occurs over a super long period of time, ranging from hundreds to maybe millions of years. So Fauci has pushed this natural evolution theory onto the public, and he may have even paid out 9 million large in grant funds for doctors to write articles saying lab leak theory bad. The Pangolin theory is great. Stay tuned for that congressional hearing video. Now that's something to look forward to, other than me babbling incoherently and at times digressing. So let's move along quickly. Here it is. Here, isn't that beautiful? NIH building. So this is the beautiful NIH campus, National Institute of Health in Washington, the Swamp, DC. So enjoy the view. Woo! There's a cafeteria right there I want to have lunch at. Okay, this is the specific building right here that Fauci worked in or continues to work, goes to work at. No, this is not doxing. So let's get away from evolution and start talking about what really caused COVID, which is gain of function research. What is gain of function research? Okay. So here it is here. This is it. Here is gain. This is a great article. The Free Press for Free People. Is gain of function research a risk worth taking or insanity? This is a straightforward question, man. That is very accurate. I'm just going to read these 2 paragraphs here for you. It says, under the heading, and it's good questions here. What is gain of function research? What's alarming people, including many distinguished scientists, is research involving pathogens known as gain of function research of concern. Goffrock. These experiments make pathogens more virulent and or more transmissible. If that does sound like insanity, sure it should. Simply put, this research allows scientists to manipulate viruses to make them even deadlier. Here's the plausible deniability in this last sentence. I'm going to get more into that. So, on the theory that if nature produces the same virus, we will be ready to fight it. That's called plausible deniability. So, and let's talk about that plausible deniability here for a second. Let me just put this back up again here, because I kind of like the picture. Plausible deniability for bioengineering a super virus. It takes hundreds, thousands, or even millions of years, like I said, for a virus to mutate into one that affects humans. Studying gain of function kind of loses its purpose. Even if it takes hundreds of years, our technology will advance enough to deal with any potential new virus the second it comes up. So like a few hundred years, we're going to be like, we're going to be on Mars, so we're not going to be, if you think about it. So a smarter idea would be wait for the virus to come out and then solve it. It's unethical and insanity to engineer a super virus just to see, can we cure this? Especially if it may never even mutate to affect humans, and now that's a possibility as well too. Some people don't believe in evolution, and that's good, and I'm not even going to go there because that would be a serious digression. But we can all agree that due to the slow pace of evolution, if there is evolution, the reason for gain of function is either insanity or is it forces of fascism. But if I was evil, could I make it plausible deniability, enoughable, foolability? I coined a bunch of terms there. But anyway, could I use it to profit and power grab? Hell yeah! Mask mandates, vaccine mandates, travel mandates, people losing their jobs, small and medium-sized businesses going under, big corporations profiteering immensely, billionaires in the World Economic Forum benefiting, Apple and Google. Vaccine mandates, now those made a ton of money for biotech companies. All right. So how was Fauci involved? Here's a brief history. So Dr. Fauci's involvement with gain-of-function research began in the early 2000s when he became director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID. And he at the time funded gain-of-function research. In 2011, Fauci published an op-ed in the Washington Post defending the value of gain-of-function research, which was facing increased scrutiny due to concerns about biosecurity risks and the potential accidental release of engineered pathogens. Maybe smart to listen to a few knowledgeable doctors. No, he didn't. In 2014, there are enough morally ethical doctors, forces of freedom, to impose a moratorium on funding of gain-of-function research. So moratorium is just a stopping of funding, which essentially stops the research altogether, and of gain-of-function research, basically bioengineering a weapon. And this happened after a series of high-profile biosecurity incidents at federal laboratories. Like by incidents, we mean that there were bioengineered pathogens released accidentally. Incidents. I like how they say incidents. In 2017, the moratorium was lifted with the support of Dr. Fauci. Yeah. And he still defended the decision, arguing that the research was critical, which we've already established is a total lie. So the whole operation moved to Wuhan. I guess the writing was on the wall for future gain-of-function research here in America, being that it was insanity. So it wasn't practiced here in America, even though the moratorium was lifted. Yet it continued to be funded by guess who? Dr. Fauci, through an intermediary called EcoHealth Alliance, with Peter Balsack as director. Remember, this type of research is over a couple of decades at least now. So my question is, were the decades of discovered technology transferred from America to China, and how was that done? If I find the answer to that, you're going to be the first to know. But the underlying fact will always remain. Fauci has a big, long history of promoting, advocating, defending, and funding gain-of-function research. Let his desperate denials fall on deaf ears. Hey, that sounded pretty good. Who wrote that? Such an excellent alliteration. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Okay, so what's an evil, guilty man to do now? Why? Attempt to cover up his involvement and discredit the legitimacy of the lab leak. Of course, right? But say hello to my little friend, the congressional hearing. And my little friend, the article here too as well. So Fauci pays $9 million for a paper to disprove the lab leak theory and promote the natural evolution theory. This story gets more and more mind-blowing. So he already has an intermediary, EcoHealth, where he's passing funds to and then passing it to Wuhan, making it harder to track, but they found him out. So that's cover up number one. Cover up number two is this article here. So, and we also have the part of the congressional hearing that backs up the article. So let's stop talking for a moment and listen to this.
Subcommittee on the coronavirus pandemic held its first hearing today after bombshell emails revealed that Dr. Fauci prompted the drafting of a scientific paper to, quote, disprove the lab leak theory. Take a listen.
Not one evidence of a certain species, whether it be dog or bat, has ever been shown to have this virus that somehow or another transferred to humans.
So there's 9 million reasons why they changed their mind. So 3 days after they say it came from a lab, they changed their position, and the only intervening event's a conference call with Dr. Fauci and Dr. Collins. And then 3 months later, shazam, they get $9 million from Dr. Fauci. Well, isn't that something? Isn't that something?
That is something. So you got a full 48 seconds of me not talking. Aren't you glad you don't have to put up with Hugh Jackman's bad acting anymore? We also got something else here for you. Former CDC director testifies at the House hearing on COVID-19 origins. This will knock your socks off.
Definition of gain of function research, and I say that because it becomes a little semantics sometimes, I believe, within the scientific community. What is a chimera and what is gain of function?
Yeah, I think it's to take a pathogen and try to increase one of two things or both, to increase its transmissibility or its pathogenicity. I disagree with some of my colleagues at NIH to say the definition is restricted to a pathogen that's already a pathogen. If I make a non-pathogen pathogenic, that's gain of function.
Good point.
So, in your expert opinion, was the Wuhan Institute conducting gain of function research on
Absolutely.
coronaviruses? Thank you. So, one other path of questioning for you, Dr. Rickfeld. Proponents of this research claim it may result in vaccines or maybe even stop a pandemic. Dr. Redfield, has gain of function created any life-saving vaccines or therapeutics to your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge.
Has gain of function stopped a pandemic, in your opinion?
Listen.
No, on the contrary, I think it probably caused the greatest pandemic our world has seen.
You find any tangible benefits?
What? Say it
to
again.
Gain of function world, in your opinion?
No, on the contrary, I think it probably caused the greatest pandemic our world has seen.
Come
You find any
again.
tangible benefit?
I think
It stopped a
sorry.
pandemic, in your opinion?
No, on the contrary, I think it probably caused the greatest pandemic our world has seen.
You find any tangible
Con-
One more
stopped
time.
the pandemic, in your opinion?
No, on the contrary, I think it probably caused the greatest pandemic our world has seen.
You find any tangible
Wow.
benefits to gain of function research at this time?
I personally don't, but I do want to stress, I think the men and women that supported are people.
Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. So, bingo! That's it. Like, this guy here is not Joe Rogan. This is Dr. Redfield, the head of the CDC, saying COVID is a bioengineered virus. Well, that kind of blows their plausible deniability for engineering a super virus out the window now, doesn't it? So I don't believe in coincidence. So if you take a look at the release timing of it, at the same time, almost at the going into the 2020 American election, one of the few anti-communist or anti-China politicians, President Trump, happened to be in office. Could this be totally and completely a calculated and purposeful release of a killer virus? Think about mail-in ballots. Mail-in ballots everywhere. So people wound up with like 12 ballots. You get mail-in ballots anywhere. And there's drop boxes. These election drop boxes, just like everywhere, is absolutely. That's another episode. So, and let's get into the censorship. If you said anything bad about vaccines, or this is a lab leak, or this was a bioengineered virus, you would be kicked off YouTube, kicked off Facebook, kicked off whatever social media platform that you're on, accounts suspended. No one is seeing your comments, your anything. Any doctor talking about natural immunity and boosting the immune system with vitamin C and vitamin D was kicked off the internet. Any doctor talking about ivermectin would be. And hydrochloroquine. Those are the ways to deal with COVID and would minimize deaths. People lost jobs, exercising their democratic right, refusing the vaccine. In Europe and in Canada, in Europe, still today, as we speak, governments are taxing or fining their citizens if you do not take the vaccine. Not Russia. NATO countries. Who's the good guy? not NATO. Let's see what is on the last one here. Okay. Okay. Roll.
Not what happened. 3 years ago, if you thought it came from a lab, if you raised that, you were called a nut job. You got censored on Twitter. You were blacklisted on Twitter. You were even called a crackpot by the very scientist who in late January sent emails to Dr. Fauci and said it came from a lab. They called you crackpot. Is that right, Dr. Redfield?
I think the most upsetting thing to me was the Baltimore Sun calling me a racist because I said this came from a Wuhan lab.
Dr. Redfield, you're a...
Oh, yeah. So, who would have thought that COVID ties directly to the American election, which ties into our episode 1 called The Biden Bribery. Anyway, so, and Jim Jordan, congressman, that was really well said. That backs up what I was saying. These are forces of fascism, like propaganda and censorship. It's very dangerous to our democracy. So we're coming to an end here. And so that's our congressional report. We've had fun. It says one big crisis. The other big crisis, too, is the climate cultists who claim back in 1970s, that's a year, that by 1980, that's another year, we're going to be underwater. Oh, no. Oh, no. Anyway, okay, well, this is Robert signing off for Forces of Freedom and Fascism. So you stay a handsome or looking or sexy looking, democracy loving force of freedom.
You ran the CDC and you were on the coronavirus task force, is that right?
Correct.